How many counterspells should you play inside cEDH? Well, that's the question we're gonna be trying to answer inside this video. As has been requested, I live to serve. As I've done this before with counterspells and stacks as well. So tutors are a good next one. But for anyone who is new to this concept, how are we actually going to do that? So let's go to Kramen Tymna. Let's pick this one very recent tournament from tournament entry from Skylar Outlaw March Madness 24. And here we have his deck list, and all we need to do is just count. And by the way, Ranger Captain of Eos, that is one, Demonic Tutor, Gamble, Imperial Seal, Enlightened Tutor, Mystical Tutor, Tainted Pact is a tutor in the end, Intuition, Vampiric Tutor. So that list got 9 tutors total. And then we look at the performance of that list. It had 3 wins, 2 losses and 2 draws. And now I have a very micro small picture of what one tournament entry achieved from including 9 tutors. Then we do this 16,400 times more, because that's the total amount of different tournament entries that I have calculated into my data sampling. And that will give us this outcome. This is a heat map, and I think I should get smaller. Or maybe I'm better off here actually. But what you see here is density. You see black at the top and white at the bottom. 0 equals pitch white, and at the top here you have pitch black. So for example here you have a value of 1059, and here you have 1. So you have one deck that entered into a tournament and got a win rate, you see win rate here, above or something like 80. And it contains all the way down to something like 20 or 21 total tutors. But that was just one deck that was able to hit that mark. And then you have 3 decks that have a 100% win rate with an inclusion of something around 14 tutors. But the highest density is around this area. So we have, for example here, we have 293 decks that have entered into tournaments, and they have a win rate above 40%, including something around 11 to 12 different tutors. So it seems that many tutors seems to be a good choice. If you actually go down here, you have a very high increase. For example, you have 0, 2, or up to 5, then something like 6, and then boom, once you hit like 7 or 8, it's the population is like there's a lot of more decks that include a mid area. Like there are very few decks that include a very super high amount. Apparently 5 decks. No, this is 5, 6 and 7 decks that included something around 22 to 24. But the spot you want to hit is somewhere around here, kinda. Similar to the amount we actually saw inside the video the deck we actually looked at in the beginning of the video. But this entire heat map can be a little bit tricky to actually understand. And this makes a perfect opportunity to give a shout out to a fellow data enthusiast, Datafog, who actually helped me build this entire thing and basically helped me with some constructive feedback on how to potentially improve the method. And Datafog came up with this idea. This is a different way to basically understand the heat map better. Or you could say easier to understand it. So down here we have the in number of counterspells similar to the heat map, and over here we have the win rate, so to say. And as you can see here, 24, that is kind of very good win rate. That's like a very good average win rate in general. And then you have 4 tutors inside the deck is giving you something around. So here you have the top and the bottom and the blue dot in the middle. The more apart these are, the higher spread, the bigger randomness. But because we have a very high sample size of 16,400 tournament entries, we can make we are creating a very strong indication of this is the range. So you're going to get something in our area of 19, just below 20 and just above 18. But then we jump over to here where we have something like 10 to 9 and we're getting an average win rate above 22. But then boom, up at in the middle between something like 11 tutors, you're hitting something like 24 between 23.5, I'm gonna guess that this is. But then if you're starting to add more, the win rate, the average win rate is going down a tiny bit. Not that much. Here you're having something around 12, not entirely 13, but somewhere around 12. You're hitting a 23 average win rate, and it drops even further. Here you have 18, and that is taking you somewhere down to 22. Now, they don't drop that drastically. For example, this is a very high climb and a smaller slope, a smaller climbing down. So it's probably better to have more tutors inside your deck compared to having a very low amount of tutors. And the break point is basically around 11. But what in the world does all of this actually mean? What is the takeaway from this video? What have we learned? That your total count aim should be somewhere around 11. If you have 10 or 12, you're fine. But you could also view it like this. If you're currently sitting on, let's say, 15 or 14 potential counter spells, and you want to add a new cool card one of your friends are suggesting for you, then you could easily remove one of those tutors from your deck list to include that card. But for example, if you're sitting on 8 tutors, and someone is suggesting a good card for you, the recommendation here from this video is to not remove a tutor and go down to 7. You should try to tweak yourself towards 11. You could also view it like this. Let's say you're sitting on 9 tutors and you need to cut something from your deck and you want to replace it with something. You've realized that a certain specific card is kind of bad for you, but you don't know what exactly to add. Then adding a 10th tutor could be recommended. The goal of this video isn't to tell you exactly how many tutors you have to play, but more give you a kind of indication of what data have showcased from tournament entries. Because what you're looking at right here is 16,400 tournament entries and what win rate they got with the amount of different tutor counts they had in their 99. But there's one more very important thing I have to mention in this video. And that is that we're not evaluating the difference among the power level on different tutors. For example, Demonic Tutor is one of the best tutors, while Worldly Tutor is also a tutor but a weaker version, but they're still counting for 1 each. I mean, this is also a tutor. This is usually played when you're on like Temur, Color Identities, if you want to find that Glinthorn Buccaneer, if you want to increase the amount of tutors you want to have inside your deck list. This is a very weak tutor. You can fill your deck with lots and lots of different cool black tutors. And you can also play lots of really weak tutors and still get an equal amount. What I mean by that is that if you have a Boros deck with 9 or 10 or 11 tutors, you're still going to end up down there in the recommended area, equal if you have a Grixis deck playing those really good black tutors on the equal amount of 11 down there. So there's definitely an error in this way of looking into this kind of thing. But I personally still believe we're getting a pretty decent picture of an numerical area to try and hit. I'm just being responsible and self-criticizing myself. Like you always should do when you're trying to present data and statistics. So don't take like the 11 here as a golden mark. It's kinda hit that like 9 to 12 area. Seems to be a recommended spot to be in. In the end, I really hope that this helps you with your deck construction choices. And that in the end you got something out of this video. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and if you have any more suggestions of specific things you want me to look into, feel free to drop those in the comments below and I will look into whatever cool suggestion or request that you have.